Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Welcome everyone. I just wanted to announce that we start Kirtan just a little bit earlier so that Manonatha has more time to speak during the lecture. So if you guys want to hear Kirtan, just maybe come on just a few minutes before. But okay, we will go ahead and hand it off to His Grace Manonatha Prabhu, who has been giving the lecture series for about, I believe, 8 weeks now. So thank you.
So, today we're going to study the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita. So this is the 6th conference that we have been giving on the Bhagavad-Gita. And next Sunday I will be physically present in the preaching center we have in San Antonio. Hopefully you can tolerate my presence so much. And, and at the same time, it's going to be interesting to talk about some specific verse that I haven't decided yet. In this course that I'm giving, I was requested, and this is what I'm doing, to give a general overview of the Bhagavad-Gita. Not entering really in any specific point, although we do, but evidently with some haste, because the time constraint is very serious. And so I received an email from one of our guests, one devotee, not really complaining, but saying it's a little too much, And they said, yes, when you talk about the whole chapter of the most important philosophical book, unavoidably you have to be a little generic. And sometimes we have entered in some specific concept and we have spent a few minutes, but obviously we will need much more time. And we will give much more time if you want to continue to study the Bhagavad-Gita with me. Now we are going to conclude the Bhagavad-Gita in 18th chapter, 19, considering the introduction. And today we're going to study the 5th chapter. This chapter is a little different from all others because it's probably the shortest chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita. It's only 29 verses. So we have full time to discuss, not full time, but we have some more time to discuss it a little. We are going to read most of the verses and give some short explanation. However, no sincere and serious devotee will begin to talk without offering his obeisances to deities and the spiritual master, to his spiritual master. And without their blessings, we cannot speak, we cannot do anything. So we need their blessings. So I'm going to recite, as every time I give conferences, especially video conferences, I'm going to recite the whole Mangala Charana. Mangala Charana, the word Mangala Charana means evoking or asking for Mangala. Mangala signifies auspiciousness. And to speak about the Bhagavad-Gita, which is very sacred, Gita means song or singing. Krishna wasn't singing while he was talking to Arjuna. He was speaking, he was talking. So why is called Bhagavad-Gita and not Bhagavad-Vachana? Vachana means discussions. Because normally song, whoever of us is an artist, is a musician, he knows that singing is better. Singing is very much evokes a lot of emotions. So since the Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful, it's so sweet, and is so spiritual, then it was called Bhagavad Gita by Vyasadeva himself. Bhagavad Gita Parva is one of the chapters of the Mahabharata. It's actually a second chapter of the Bhishma Parva of the Bhagavad Gita, or the Mahabharata. So now I'm going to sing the Mangala Charana, give in Sanskrit, and then give translation. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayan Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitanschap He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamam Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offered my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under this lotus feet. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunatha Dasa and Raghunatha Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivasa, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distress and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. I offer my obeisances to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivasa, and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So a very short resume of what we have studied until now. We are going to continue doing this, even though every time we are going to spend less and less words, because, to resume 18 chapters, it may take some time. But now we have to resume only 4 chapters plus the introduction. It may take just 1 minute. First of all, the introduction, we have introduced the Bhagavad-Gita and telling what is the main topics of the Bhagavad-Gita. The first chapter was mostly historical. We are told a very, 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 very short the story of the Mahabharata, and ethical. Arjuna was saying to Krishna, I don't want to fight. And the reasons were ethical, were not philosophical. I cannot kill my dears, I cannot kill my parents, I cannot kill my friends. And it was not just emotions or sentiment. It was giving some very valid reason, like the destruction of family tradition. Family are very important. They should never be destroyed. A family is the nucleus of a society, And if you destroy a family, you are destroying a piece of society. Then the second chapter, we began to introduce the most important, actually the two most important philosophical points of the Bhagavad-Gita. One is who we are, what are our identity. Bhagavad-Gita is saying, we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And Krishna was saying to Arjuna, you cannot kill Bhishma, even if you wanted, because the soul is eternal and the body is not living. So you cannot kill something that is not living. The body is just a machine. A machine moves because there is a soul inside. Just like a car, it moves because somebody is driving it. But it's when that somebody goes out of the car is dead. But it's not dead. It was never living. It was just a machine. So Sri Krishna is saying to Arjuna that you cannot kill the soul and you cannot kill the body. You cannot kill the soul because it's eternal. You can kill the body because it never lived. Second part of the chapter, Sri Krishna started to introduce the science of action. And because if we are spirit soul, and the spirit soul is eternal, and eternity means action, means acting, doing something, then what is the difference between spiritual action and material action? Then Krishna starts to introduce this thing, this topic, that he goes deeper in the third chapter. And in the fourth chapter, we have introduced a very important topic like the Guru Tattva, Shiva, and Shishya Tattva, the importance of the spiritual master, the importance of the disciple, because you need a spiritual master. But if you are not a disciple, you don't do anything with the spiritual. You cannot even recognize it. A bona fide spiritual master can be recognized only by a bona fide disciple. So now we have, and then even in the fourth chapter, Krishna continues talking about action. Evidently, this is probably the most important lessons that Krishna is giving in the whole Bhagavad-Gita. So Arjuna became confused, and the first verse, the first shloka of the fifth chapter begins with a question. Arjuna seems confused. They say, first, you tell me to renounce work, that I should give up all action, that I should give up my attachment to this world. But then you tell me that I had to act, I had to kill all these people. Right? And so tell me definitely. He says, give me a yes or no answer, because he appears confused. Should I act by fighting in this war, or should I renounce to this material world? Okay, so Arjuna did not understand the difference between action and inaction. Actually, in the fourth chapter, there is a very nice, although not easy to understand, verse where he said that the wise person is someone who understands the difference between action and inaction. That he sees action in inaction, inaction in action. And we spent some 5-10 minutes explaining this point. And if you want me to repeat it again, I will. But right now, it might not be so necessary. So in the second verse of the fifth chapter, Krishna replies with a yes or no answer. Very clear, very direct. Boom, like this, very clear. The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Yeah? This is very, very clear. Should we be yogis going to the Himalayas and do austerities and renounce to good eating, good bedding, good the nice legitimate pleasure or life. So just be a yogi in the Himalaya, or maybe we should be devotees. And Krishna says, yes, it's good if you renounce to the material world. This is very impervious path. It's not going to be easy, certainly for us Westerners, that we have difficulties even do the very basic elementary thing of Krishna consciousness. Is just unthinkable to go in the Himalayas and be a yogis in the classic sense. But in the past, there were quite a few people they were able or desirous of doing this type of life. And Krishna says, yes, this is good, because you by austerities you develop some distaste for material enjoyment. Just like now, I am taking a medicine that it causes me distaste for eating, and I lost many kilos in the last 2 months. So it's working because I started to dislike eating. So I eat much, much, much less than before because I need to lose weight. So a person who needs to lose his attachment to material life through austerities and difficult life, they start to understand that this material world is just useless. I cannot be happy in this material world. And then from being a yogi, he will become a karma yogi or a bhakti yogi or some other kind of yogi. But renunciation to material world is very good. But devotional service is better because it's more direct. And of course, a lot of principles of renunciation are very good. If we, with the excuse, well, I'm a bhakti yogi and not the yogi of Himalaya, we live like the karmis, then our advancement is going to be very slow, very, very, very slow. But if we learn how to do a little bit of renunciation, like we have 4 regulatory principles, this is the ABC of renunciation. We cannot eat meat or eggs, fish, anything that lives. And then we shouldn't take any intoxications from the most simple, like a tea or coffee, or the strongest of drugs, alcohol. All this is banned from a Vaishnava life. We don't take any type of intoxication. As someone who wants to be a Vaishnava has to renounce that. And then we renounce to sex life. Sex life should be used for procreation. This is what it does. You have sex and you procreate. This is what happens. And then the 4th regular principle is something that is not taught sufficiently. But in one sense, it could be maybe the most difficult to give up. Because when we talk about gambling, we think that I should not play poker. This is easy. I don't even know how to play poker, but it's not. Gambling is one wins and the other loses. Okay? So the adrenaline comes out from who is going to win. My party is going to win, is going to lose. So he is going to lose now. He made this and the other one. This is 4th regulatory principles. And this taste, this pleasure of all the sports are the same thing. If you analyze, there are very stupid sports, like a little ball that should enter into a very small hole and someone does this. Stupid, like in unbelief. But there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who stay there looking because this ball will go in the hole or will not go into the hole. This bigger ball is going to enter into space called, I don't know, in English, how to call it. It's going to enter into the door, it's not going to enter. And it's a lot, this thing is going to can go in or not go in. This is fourth regulatory principle. You cannot be peaceful mentally if you are in anxiety for your party or for your player. Yoga, meditation, devotion needs a peaceful mind. So fourth regulatory principle should be very seriously observed. Oh, this is the ABC of renunciation. Of course, we can renounce so many other things, but at least these four things, which are not so difficult, they should be renounced. So between the two, renunciation of work means austerities, going in some mountain, etc., etc. This is good. Krishna said it is good, but the working in devotion is better. Not working means I'm not going to do this because I have some attachment to the result. But Krishna here says, and he's repeating it over and over again, no, do that, but do it for me. Like Arjuna didn't want to fight because this will cause me suffering. Okay? But Krishna says, you should not be concerned about your pleasure or suffering. In your case, it's suffering, but something else that you may like it. You may want to renounce it for a good eating, a good dinner. I'm going to renounce it because it gives me pleasure. And this bounds me to the material world. And Krishna says, no, you can eat, but offer it to me. Okay, you can watch a nice sunset. Now it's almost sunset here in Texas. You can watch it, but think of Krishna, because this is not casual. You can think of Krishna in the sunset or the sunrise. You can think of Krishna looking so many beautiful things because he created. So this is the secret of action, of karma yoga, means learning how to do things for Krishna. There are things that cannot be done for Krishna. You cannot eat stick saying, I'll do it for Krishna, because Krishna doesn't eat it. Okay, we don't accept it. So once you know what Krishna may accept it as a devotion, as an offering, and then you can offer it to Krishna. So now there are two verses. It's taking too much time. It's difficult to do. Anyway, now there are two verses that are like a parenthesis in this specific, very important topic of karma yoga. Okay, first of all, very quickly, what is the difference between karma and karma yoga? Karma means action for me. Karma yoga means to link to the absolute, to Krishna. The action that links me to Krishna, this is called karma yoga. Karma doesn't link me to Krishna. Karma yoga links me to Krishna. So this is the difference. So the verses 4 and 5 says something very important. That is, only the ignorant speak of devotional service as being different from analytical study of the material world, which is the Sankhya yoga. Those who actually learn say that he who applies himself well to one of these two paths achieves the results of both. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study, Sankhya, can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, see things as they are. So let's try to understand this point. Sankhya is a very complicated process of studies, okay, to study, to understand how this material world is created, how it's formed. It's very, very complicated. I read these books and I assure you it's not easy to understand. And some people say, well, it doesn't say chant Hare Krishna, so maybe we should not read these books. Here says specifically that the karma yoga and Sankhya yoga, there is no difference. Those who apply these studies in studying Krishna's philosophy, or studying the Vedas, or studying the Vedanta Sutra, or studying the Puranas, studying the Upanishads, of course, they are part of the Vedas, and study the Angas, the Upangas, etc., by purification, by studying and meditating on these truths, then he gets purified and at the end achieves the same goal than those who do devotional service. Now, okay, now we have, since I remember that the first time that I came to the temple, the Christian center we are here, this point came up with one of you. And since she received some discouragement in studying too much, because it's too much studies, you know. So, so the Bhagavad-Gita says that you should study Sankhya. The word Sankhya means number, enumerating, means listing the truth, the tattvas composing the material universe and the spiritual universe. And it says that you can reach the same goal. However, we should not forget that we are disciples of a line of spiritual masters. And what is the position of the spiritual master? What is the real, the real duty of a spiritual master? Just like Shaunakarishi says to Sutta Goswami, he says, the very scriptures and all the scriptures around the Vedas are very, very vast. There are so many things, and there are so many things to do, so many sacrifices, and so many studies, and so many things. So please try to identify what is most important among the important things for us. He's not saying actually for us, he's saying for the people of Kali Yuga. So that means that these are generic philosophical principles. And then the spiritual master says, amongst these general principles, all equally important, this is what you should do, because this is better for you. But if someone thinks this is better for me, that means that everything else is secondary or not important. This is a mistake. Actually, this is called aparadis, or an offense. Someone says you should not study, just chant. This is offensive. Why? Because you are saying that Vyasadeva wasted his time writing all these books. Or that Srila Prabhupada wrote 70 books. He wasted his time because he could have written one page saying that just chant Hare Krishna, your life will be sublime. So why he wrote 70 books? It actually, saying that is actually offensive. We should say, chant Hare Krishna and study. Chant Hare Krishna and worship the deity. Chant Hare Krishna. But what is the most important? For you, the most effective is chanting Hare Krishna. It's the most effective. It's not more important in the sense that everything else is inferior. Because the moment, again, the moment you say that something else is inferior, you're committing aparad, you're committing offenses. And this is the meaning, although we could say much more, of the 4th and 5th verse of the Bhagavad-Gita, the 5th chapter. So there is one point that Krishna is making right after the 5th verse, the 6th verse, obviously. And he's talking about Sukha. Sukha means happiness. Krishna is saying, merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service to the Lord, cannot make one happy. Also studying. Okay, if you don't study with the idea of achieving Krishna, you become morose because studying is heavy, you know. So if you renounce all activities in the world, but you don't offer what you do to Krishna, you will not be happy, because happiness comes only from devotional service, cannot come in any other way in life. You can be the most successful person in the world. You can be the richest person in the world, but without devotion, so you're never going to be happy. One who walks in devotion with a pure soul, who controls his mind, the senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to me. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. How you control your mind? So first of all, what is the mind? Mind is not the brain. The brain is something else. Okay, mind is a subtle sense. Brain is a gross sense. So mind, I have spoken about this a couple of times, I remember, not in sufficient detail, but we have spoken that it is a subtle mind. And if you control the mind, you control the senses. But if you are not able to control the mind, the easiest path is control the senses. How to control the senses? By changing the quality of the sensorial experiences. This is how you control the mind. Right now, I look something material, the mind becomes agitated because it wants to enjoy it. But if I look to Krishna, I look to deities, I look to the books, I look something spiritual, then the mind becomes peaceful, it becomes pacified because it's not material. Okay? So there are many people who try to control the senses by controlling the mind. This is not going to work, or it might work, but it's going to be very difficult because the senses continuously will attack the mind. They say, "Look how beautiful this thing is. Look, hear how beautiful this music is, and look how tasteful this food, etc." And the mind is bombarded continuously by sensorial experiences, and in this way, you cannot clean yourself by washing your hands and right after putting your hands into earth or something dirty. Okay, so you had to first of all you had to have your hands cleaned, and then should stay clean. So the senses should work in devotion. So look to Krishna, so hear Krishna, should taste Krishna, should touch Krishna. So all the five senses. And this way will be much easier. This is why it's a devotional service is better. Devotional service is better because this is how it works. It substitutes the sense object, material sense object, with spiritual sense objects. Yogis want to cancel sense objects. I'm going to the mountain. I don't want to see here nothing now, but it's not going to work because the seed is already in the mind. Lives and lives, past lives, they are still there. It will poison your meditation. Very difficult. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you do devotional service. You substitute the sense object, material sense object, with spiritual, and this will work. That's why we say to people, go to the temple, eat prasadam. Why? Because when you enter in the temple, everything is Krishna. Okay? And this verse is very nice. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in serious healing. Someone says, how can you be a pure devotee in an impure world? So you do a normal life, you go walk and you study. But here, this verse is saying that those who are in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, actually, it doesn't do anything at all. A devotee who dedicates his life in devotional service and everything is for Krishna, actually, he does a lot of activities, but these activities are no karmic type of activities. It will not agitate the mind, it will not generate any type of reaction. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, opening and closing his eye, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with the object, but he is aloof from them. So how the pure devotee sees life. Is his life as a time dedicated to Krishna. He is not interested in doing anything. He does everything just for Krishna. Everything he does is only for the purpose of purification. He's not interested in nothing. This is the pure devotee. Those who want results from the action, like people. I don't have a job, but people have a job for money. They work for money. If it was not for money, they would not work. So this is fruitful work for fruits. I work because I get the money. Okay, and this is a type of life full of anxiety because you can lose it, because you don't like it, because you would like to do something else, etc., etc. But the embodied living being renounces all action and then reside happily in the city on 9 gates. What is the city on 9 gates? That's the Bhagavad-Gita. It does this analogy. It says that the body is like a city with 9 gates, 9 points of exit and 9 points of entrance. There are 2 eyes, 2 ears, mouth, 5, the nostrils, 7, your anus and genitals. So 9 holes in our body where things can go out or come in. This is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a whole chapter dedicated to the 9 gates of the material body. So the embodied spirit, master of the city of the body, does not create activities, nor induce people to act. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision and learned the gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. This is things that I. Okay, so we have arrived now to something important to discuss. We are going to linger a couple of minutes more on this concept of sameness and equanimity. That is called a kind of nirvana. Nirvana, people think that nirvana is a Buddhist word. It's actually not Buddhist, it's Sanskrit. Buddhism is not being spoken in Sanskrit, but it's spoken in Pali. Nirvana in Pali says nirvana, and nirvana in Sanskrit. Okay, so what it means become established in sameness. Sameness means it's hot, I'm happy. It's cold, I'm happy. Because my happiness does not depend on cold, does not depend on anything external. I'm happy because inside I develop such a life that whatever is outside doesn't really matter. If someone disturbs me, I'm not disturbed. Why? I know this is a beginning of an end. This is going to finish. How much time? Few years, and then everything is gone. Cold, this person, the other person. It's just temporary. It doesn't give it much importance to anything external. So, and sameness and equanimity are 2 different words. Sameness means a state of consciousness, a state of mind. And equanimity is the result of the state of consciousness. When you are same, doesn't matter what happened outside of you, then your response is that everything is okay. Cold, I am not disturbed inside. But someone may say, well, if you get, even a pure devotee gets sick, you can see that they're sick. It's not the same. Here is saying sameness. So why, for instance, Srila Prabhupada, when he was sick, it was not the same. Well, sameness is not same external sameness. If your body is disturbed, evidently cannot function as before. If Srila Prabhupada was sick, obviously he couldn't do whatever he was doing when he was in a normal state, physical state. Sameness is internal. You can be sick, you can be in pain, but you understand that this person internally has no change. It's always the same. And for him, there's no difference actually, because it's just it's illusory. It's an illusion. You know that it will finish. And those people who can conquest sameness and equanimity, conquest the condition of birth and death, they are flawless. I love this word, flawless, like Brahman, and that they already situated in Brahman. Flawless means perfect, at least no flaw. So his consciousness, his life is just perfect. And it doesn't matter how it's lived. Many great devotees lived very poorly. They slept on the floor, didn't have any money. They had no. We have histories of great acharyas who had thousands of disciples, and then we have maybe millions of as great acharya who we don't even know their names. So it's not that being a great spiritual master is like having a great glory. Even in our movement, we have spiritual masters with thousands of disciples, and others, most of ISKCON doesn't even know what's your name. So but this is what means to be flawless, like Brahman means. It doesn't matter what is your external situation; you're always happy. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Here it doesn't say that you have to leave your body and go to the spiritual world. Those people who do not really do big feast because he achieved something good, or someone who doesn't lament upon something unpleasant, then he's already situated in transcendence. Self-intelligent means that you already understand by yourself. You don't need to go study the Bhagavad-Gita. I have this problem. I don't understand these things. You don't really know. The knowledge is already part of you. Okay, so we have a few. We had a few verses, but I think, I want to read this verse and then we go to questions. This is a system of yoga, but it can be also translated in terms of devotional service. So now I will tell you how. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breath within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who always in this state is certainly liberated. So there is something called Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta means 8, Anga means parts, a yoga. We know what it is a system for achieving higher goals. So this is something physical that you should shut in your body. Your eyes will not look to things outside you, but you should concentrate your meditation between the two eyebrows like this. You should look like this, in such a way that everything becomes, how you say, when something is not clear, it becomes, help me?
Blurry.
Huh?
Blurry.
Blurry, yeah, something blurry. You don't see exactly what happens. And then the suspended the inward outside breath within the nostril means you decide when to breathe. You decide when to breathe. You breathe, and then you stop. The less we breathe, the longer we live. You know that. We already have a certain number of breaths that we have in our life. When it's finished, we go. Once when we shut out all external sense objects and we control our breathing, we can control mind, senses, and intelligence. And then we become free from desire, fear, and anger. Desire comes from material identification. We think that we are this body, so obviously we want to be happy with this body. So we desire. Fear is because we think to be the body. So something comes and we are afraid. Because why? Because our body may be hurt. And anger. Anger comes when we don't get what we want. And today we tolerate, tomorrow we tolerate, and the anger, we get angry. We get angry because we cannot stay without happiness. Because happiness is a natural state of the soul. So if we are not interested in spiritual life, which means we don't get a spiritual happiness, then you need another happiness, with this material happiness. A material happiness, it's very conditioned. Condition means you need a lot of conditions to have some satisfaction. It shouldn't be too hot, it shouldn't be too cold, it shouldn't be too poor, you shouldn't be too rich, maybe. You shouldn't be too old, it shouldn't be too like this. And these conditions are not easy. It's not easy to get all of them in the same moment. So anger, this is very common problem in life. And so now, should we shut our senses and not look to anything, etc., etc.? No, we cannot. This is not, Ashtanga yoga is not for us. There are certain people to do this kind of yoga. Basically, it's not going to work for us. We are America, it's European. How are we going to do Ashtanga yoga? There are many places where you do yoga. That's a ridiculous thing. How you say about payasada? How you say in English? You know Spanish. So payasada. How you say payasada in English? You don't know. Okay, forget it. Something ridiculous, something that is not serious. Okay.
Goofiness.
Maybe goofiness. Okay.
Yes.
So this is just useless. They just put the leg here. They do this. They do that. It's a gym. If you go to the park and you do half-hour walk, you get the same result. So but you can do that by type of meditation. You see physically the sense object, but because you have developed a taste for spiritual sense object, then you don't see it. And if you breathe for Krishna, then you are not breathing, because there is no reaction to your breathing. And we die, so who cares? We die. We know we die. Why we should be so afraid of dying? Today, tomorrow, 1 year, 10 years, we are going to die. It doesn't really matter. Death shouldn't really matter. Life should matter. How we live, because life is the field where we build our future lives. Because we know that the soul is eternal. So when it leaves this body, it will go somewhere else. And the place where we'll go depends how we have lived in this life. So, to conclude, our future lives and this life in the future life depends very much how we want to live this life. Okay, so we have 15 minutes. I hope there are many questions. I have to say that in the Spanish classes, there are much more questions. Okay, everybody is welcome to my questions. Okay, so there is no questions.
I have a question, Prabhuji, but it's from Andy. He can't ask it because he's with our son.
Yeah, it's with the kid.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it's in the comment box. Oh no,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
Fabio.
Fabio is but you want me to first?
Yes, you can first take Fabio, and then I can ask this question.
Okay. Questions about equanimity. If we are to be focused more on the internal life and less on external things, is it ever right to be angry about external things? No, never. Never. Because it's like, be angry for a movie. You see a movie and you see some bad guy doing something, you get angry. It's false. Doesn't exist. It's just a movie. It's just a different. It's just rays of colors touching screen. It's not real. So when we identify too much with our body and in everything concerned with our body, then we get angry, obviously, because we think it's real. We think it's serious. But it's not serious. Not at all. Of course, somebody may say, well, Arjuna was angry in Kurukshetra. You cannot fight a war laughing, smiling. Well, that's different anger. That's a different anger. You can have an anger for Krishna, like Hanuman or Arjuna or so many stories. Krishna himself is described in angry in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's a different type of anger. There's an anger like children playing and they fake anger because of the play. When kids come together and start playing, one takes the part of the good guy and the other one the bad guy, and they because I will kill. It's not real. It's a play. It's a game. They are not angry. Actually, they are playing. This is called lila. Lila is a transcendental play that we have in the spiritual world or in this world when Krishna comes in this world. But it's not based on illusion. It's not based in something unreal. That is real. Because in the spiritual world, there is anger. There is love, there is hate, there is everything. It's a play, it's a game. It's not hate or anger like in the material world. Anger in the material world comes for frustration when someone is unhappy, and then unhappiness grows and grows, and one day it comes to the point and explodes. He cannot take it anymore. He cannot take to control somebody or something, or he would like that everything be because he thinks that this everything is the way I see it right, then you should accept what I say or what I do like this. Then anger comes. There is actually in the second chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita 2 very important verses that describes how anger comes. And these 2 verses, 62 and 63, are extremely important to study and understand. These 2 verses, I decided memory. In my memory, you all know what is my memory. It's useless. Anyway, no, I'm going to take these 2 verses. I'm going to read them. Just wait a second, and I will tell you these 2 very important verses. Okay. 62. Dhyayato vishayam punsa sangaste shupajayate. Sangasanjayate kama. Kamat krodo vijayate. While contemplating the object of the senses, okay? You contemplate. It's not a just look. You contemplate, or you stare to something that you like. Stare doesn't mean only with the eyes, also with the ears, or with the taste, or with the with the nose, etc. When contemplating the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. So why he develops attachment? Because he thinks that he is of the same nature of these objects. You know, they are material, I am material. So obviously I look at them, oh, this is good, and I develop attachment unavoidably. From such attachment, lust develops. So what is lust? Lust is a strong desire to enjoy them. This is lust. Okay? Kama in Sanskrit. Normally lust is generically referred only to sex, but it's not. Lust in Sanskrit is a generic word referring to any things to which you develop a very strong attachment. Okay, very strong attachment. You cannot live without. And from lust, anger rises. You see, 62 is already telling you where anger rises. You look at something you like, you develop attachment, you develop a very strong attachment, and then you become angry. Why you become angry? Because there are two things that may happen when you contemplate the object of the sense. Either you get it or you don't get it. If you don't get it, obviously you are angry because you haven't got it and you wouldn't like to have it. But if you get it, it will be worse. You will become even more frustrated. Why? Because you realize how useless it was. You have spent all your life, all your energy, intellectual time, and many times money, for something that hasn't given you what you had expected. And betrayed expectations are the main reason for anger. And you think, okay, I'm going to be happy if I get this. I get it. And this, where is the happiness I expected? Then you become more and more angry because maybe if I do something else similar, you say every time a different sense object and the same thing. Srila Prabhupada says it's like chewing chewing a gum that you already chewed.
Chewing.
Yeah, chewing a gum you already chewed. The taste is already gone because you did it one time. Oh, that was nice. And then again, well, what is the taste? It's already gone because it was the essential, the object didn't have any taste. You put your taste. There was a projection of your mind that you expected this to be so tasteful, and you put your taste, you project in the thing, but once you've done it one time, then you expect the next time to give your taste by itself. This is very simple and elementary psychology. Everyone will understand it. At the beginning, you project taste. After, you expect the object to be tasteful by itself. And then, obviously, you become angry because you are not getting anything that you wanted. Then, next verse. Krodat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smiti vibramaha. Smiti bramchat buddhinasha, buddhinasha pranashati. This is what life will become after you begin this process of distraction of your life, beginning from contemplation of the sense object. From anger, complete delusion arises. You become confused. When someone is angry, you cannot think. is out of it. His mind, his body is completely out of control. You just want to kill everything. You just want to kill everybody. You cannot control your mind anymore. This is the effect of anger. Okay, and from confusion of intellect and mind comes bewildered of memory. You don't remember. You don't remember what is the truth of life. You just have lost it in the middle of confusion of your anger. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. What is intelligence? Intelligence is the faculty of discriminating what is right and what is wrong. You lose it with anger. And when your intelligence is lost, then you go down in the inferior species of life. You become, when you lose your human form, you become something else, an animal, a vegetable, etc. And you have wasted your precious opportunity of a human life. This is the message of the Bhagavad-Gita. So, in conclusion, to answer to the question that I have been presented, it is ever right to be angry about external thing? No, it's never right. You should take these things like a father takes if the son or daughter tell him, "Oh, you are a fool." My uh, my my granddaughter says, "Granddad, you are ugly." Or maybe I am, but obviously I don't get offended because she is after 3.5 years. You don't get offended. You laugh. Okay, so someone is really wise. When something bad happens externally in your life, you just laugh inside. You say, this is not serious. This is like a young child saying or doing something bad to you. And you say that in English, shrug it off. Shrug it off. Like also because there is another consideration to be made. Get angry does not solve anything, ever, never, never. Uh, it makes things worse because first of all you cannot control yourself, you cannot adjust whatever is going wrong. If it concerns a person, getting angry, you only causes a worse reaction from the other person. If you get angry, the other person gets angrier, and you get angrier because he can get angrier, angry. Then this is a chain reaction to nothing other than deep bitterness of heart. So if you really want to, if you are a wise person and you want to correct something, you should be always calm. You should always be same as the sameness. So we have spoken until now, an equanimitus. I don't know how to say that in English. And then you have some hope to correct things. It's like a child. If he or she cries and cries and cries, and you yell, do you think that the child is going to stop crying? You know what is the result of yelling to a child or using your hands? The worst thing you can do with a child is to punish him physically. That he will not stop, and when he will grow up, he will hate you. That's the truth. Parents who slap or physically punish the kid, when the kids grow up, they will hate you. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Srila Prabhupada said, show the stick, but don't use it. Okay? You show, oh, I'm going to, okay? But so then he says, okay, but you should not use it. It's useless and detrimental. Okay, next question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Just a comment I wanted to add to that. I feel I would like your opinion on this of the false ego, how it makes something, at least through my experience, how it makes something so small um, seem so big. Like this is the biggest deal because it's happening to me. And it makes it so large, and when in reality it could be something so small. Um, well, which it really is something so small, but because of the ego, we feel it is very big. But thank you for that. Here is Andy's question. He says, um, he's asking, can you ask him if we don't sincerely feel like we're doing things for Krishna, should we say that we're doing things for Krishna even though it feels artificial? And he said, and he referenced the when you said about the sunset, when you're looking at the sunset and you're thinking, and you have in your mind to think of Krishna as, when you're looking at the sunset, he's saying if it's not sincerely felt, is it an offense to say that oh well, this is, we're thinking of Krishna in our minds, this is I'm not enjoying the sunset, away from Krishna. Does my question make sense?
Yeah, yes, it makes sense. So, first of all, at the beginning of spiritual life, it's absolutely great to think artificially. The sunset is very beautiful, nice colors and everything. Actually, this is an excuse, because you want to enjoy it. You don't want to enjoy it for Krishna because you are at the beginning of spiritual life. You cannot expect too much from you. You have to be realistic. At the beginning of spiritual life, we do devotional service also and maybe mainly because we like it. Okay, but if we think it's not right, I'm just kidding Krishna, I'm just cheating Krishna, telling, oh, this is for you but actually for me, then I will not do it. Okay, that's incorrect. That's actually nonsense, because it is the only way by which you can one day actually feel for Krishna or do it for Krishna. And how? By beginning of doing it in an artificial way. At the beginning, you say, oh, this is for Krishna. Oh, this is for Krishna. Then one day it will be for Krishna. The last time, at the end of the class, I say, fake it until you make it. In other words, you pretend to do it with sincerity, of course. No? And until you, one day, you will actually be in this condition. So it takes time. It's not immediate. Often it's not fast even. Because why? It could be fast, but it's not, because we have too many conditioning. We are not really, we still are very much attached. You talk about ego. So what is ego? What is ego? Are you a man or a woman? I'm asking you. Are you a man or a woman?
I'm not either. I'm a soul.
You didn't fall in the trap. Yes, yeah. If you said I'm a woman, that's ego. That's a false ego. In other words, you are identifying yourself as something you are really not. But false ego. But you should be careful to separate false ego from pride. They are two different things, pride and false ego. Sometimes we say, oh, this devotee, oh, what's the false ego this devotee has, because he gets upset every time I tell him what he's proud. And this is caused by false ego, but it's not the same thing. Someone may be very peaceful, very gentle, and completely identify himself with the body, which is the real false ego. False I, ego, it's a Greek word, means I. Okay, so when we identify with something we are not, this is called false ego. Aham mameti, no, mama not. Iti, I'm not. Iti means thus. Thus I am not a spirit soul. I am actually a material body. So um, the result of identifying with a material body is that you become egocentric. Egocentrism is different from false ego, is different from the egocentrism means I am at the center of my life. The most important thing in my life is me, and everything has to be around me. I don't care what he says, or Krishna says. Everything is good if it's good for me. This egocentrism is one of the worst effect or result of false ego identifying with the body, that we cannot tolerate to do anything from anybody else. Even when we are good, we give money, etc., we do it because we have pleasure in doing it. If, like Srila Prabhupada was saying, I remember one time one devotee came to him and he gave him a big donation. And he said, "No, I don't want your dirty money." He completely rejected a big chunk of money. That he could have used for Krishna, of course. But the guru is not for I say
Enabling one's false ego.
flattering. On flattering. Oh, you are so great. You want to give donation. The guru has a very deep vision of the person. And the most important thing for the spiritual master is not what this person can do for me or you for Krishna. He is the most important. I'm going to cure his ego. I'm going to cure his egocentrism. And one time there was one devotee, my god brother, he was fanning Srila Prabhupada, Actually, he was not fanning. He was using the chamara. Chamara is the thing, the white husk. And this is used for flies or insect, especially in India. We have a lot of where you sit down 1 minute, you are covered by flies, etc. So the disciple would do like this, but he was doing it very artistically, like this, and everything, but he was not actually chasing away anything, And then he was thinking, oh, Srila Prabhupada, surely he likes the artistic way that I am fanning him. Prabhupada turned to him and said, you are useless, give that to somebody else. So receiving you are useless from the guru is not easy to take. And the other devotee understood and said, like this. Because he was, first of all, he wanted to correct his ego. His egocentrism, he would do the service so that Srila Prabhupada would tell you, oh, you're very good, you're very nice. You move very gracefully. So this is the position and the duty of the spiritual master, to help a disciple to become better and slowly but slowly move the I, not the I, the I-ness from the center. Not that you should disappear, you cannot, you are eternal, but you should move a little bit and put Krishna at the center of your life. Because if Krishna is happy, you are happy. Not vice versa. Not vice versa. You can be happy, but maybe your happiness is not, Krishna doesn't care about your happiness because this is not the right happiness for you. You think you're happy. Krishna knows better than you. He wants something else. So you make Krishna happy and then you become happy. This is the secret of spiritual life. Move from the center of your life. Put Krishna and stay there, but not at the center. Egocentrism. Okay, so Bhaktin, Rosalind, yes. I cannot hear you. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
A few moments ago, you read to us a verse that was a description of how to achieve a meditative state. And I don't often hear the devotees talk about meditation. They talk mostly about devotional service. And I was wondering if this meditative state is a necessity in achieving Krishna consciousness, or if it's just an option, one way to get there. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Nice question, as always. So, so what is meditation? Meditation is a complete focus on what you are doing, if spiritual. You are chanting, you should be completely focused, concentrated, full concentration on chanting, not thinking to anything else. Are you cooking for Krishna? Then you should concentrate on cooking. Okay? Because if you concentrate on cooking, your prasada will be terrible, you know. So is concentration on the Maha Mantra and concentration of focus, I think is the meaning is the same value. Should not I be concentrated on Hare Krishna, even while cooking or cleaning or doing anything else? It's the same. Because devotional service is absolute. There is no difference between one service and the other service. So if you are cooking for Krishna and you are totally concentrated in cooking for Krishna, not just cooking, you should be concentrated on cooking for Krishna. Okay? Then this is meditation. You clean the temple, you clean your house, if your house is a temple. So if you clean the temple of your house, then it's the same, because I do it for Krishna. I study for Krishna, total concentration of your study, and then this is pure devotional service, a pure meditation. So the idea that meditation should be that I shut my eyes, don't see anything around me, and just think to, I don't know, to Omkara or to anything. This is a wrong idea of what meditation actually is. Meditation, again, is a full concentration on any spiritual thing that you are doing right now.
Thank you. Very good answer. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so here Fabio sends another message. Very useful verses, an example, especially remembering the war as Lila. May we never forget that. Yes, yes. Yeah, well, yeah, you should use the concept of Lila. This world is not Lila, unfortunately. This world is not Lila. This world is illusion. But applying this concept of Lila to the state of consciousness of a Lila to our material happenings in our life, this is very much useful. Not taking seriously anything that happens in this world, this material world. One day, when you will be old, you'll think through the many times you got angry, and you say, why did I get angry? Why did I lose so much energy and pleasure and things that have no importance whatsoever? And this comes, it shouldn't come with old age. Okay, it should come as a you say sort of the spiritual advancement in understanding the philosophy. But let's say that with old age it becomes easier to remember, because you got so many things to remember. So you have so many examples, stupid things you have done, and then you regret. When someone is 20, 25, it's not so many things to regret. But when it's 60 or 70, you got a lot of things to regret. And the thing you regret the most, to have wasted so much time behind so many stupid, useless things. Yeah, if I if you become old in Krishna consciousness, then you can utilize, you can use your life as a tool for meditation. Like she was saying, the Vaishnavi was saying about in meditation. You can meditate on your life. How stupid it's been. This is a type of meditation. Anything that improves your life, it may be spiritual. When I was 20, when I was 18, I was a soccer player, and I lost so many years giving kicks to a ball. What's the use? It's finished. It's finished. So we have to live for an adventure. And what is the supreme adventure? It's eternity. Okay? There is eternity or not. Okay? If there is no eternity and you live trying to look for it, like people dedicate their lives to go to Mars or to go to space, or dedicate his life for medicine or all these things, this is something we had to dedicate our life to, something that really matters. Medicine, people will continue being sick and die. You can do anything. You can relieve the suffering of people a little bit, but you cannot save people from disease and death. There will always be disease and death. There is the a doctor cures thyself. You cannot solve people. So if you want to dedicate your life to something really important, there is nothing more important than eternity. Let's say that you dedicate all your life for eternity and then you don't achieve it, or doesn't exist. Let's open a little parenthesis and let's assume that there is no eternity, that we are living a dream. We devotees, we Vaishnava, all the great sages, millions, billions of great sages and spiritualists that lived in, and there is no such a thing as a spiritual world. What have you lost? What have you lost? You live happily because a devotee who lives in Krishna consciousness is much happier than any materialist. You have dedicated your attention, your time for something very sublime, very noble. There is no nobler philosophy than this one. No politics and philosophy. This is useless. Okay, but let's say that you assume no, there is no eternity, so I will not dedicate my life to eternity, and then at the end you realize that there is eternity. Then who is in the worst position? The one who dedicated his life to eternity and he discovers there is no eternity, or someone who didn't dedicate his life to eternity and then discovered that there is eternity. It's huge. You're lost. It cannot be calculated. It cannot be calculated because there is nothing better than eternity in the spiritual world. So it's well, you say, it's worth. There is no better goal in life than achieve Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we have time for one question more or two. If there is any. And I think Cassandra, welcome.
When we're making offerings to Krishna, and you're saying that making him happy makes us happy, he doesn't need to feel happy. So when we're offering these things to him and we have in our minds that, oh, he must be so pleased or happy with my offering, that may be so, but to him, what's his point of view on that? How does he look at that? Is he happy, or does he feel that, well, I don't need it, but what is he happy about, basically?
So let's say that your son, for your birthday, decides, with the help of his father, decide to make you one gift, okay? And this gift, normally, it's basically useless. So what are you going to tell him? Oh, this is useless. You should do something else. Or you say, thank you very much, my love. I appreciate very much. And what did you appreciate? The gift in itself or the effort that he did to please you? This is what makes Krishna happy. Krishna is the source of the entire universe. What can you give him? Do you think that your potatoes, he needs your potatoes? He doesn't need your potatoes. He is the creator of all potatoes ever. Okay, he has a Radharani to cook for him in the way you can never be able to cook. But what does he want? He wants your love. That's what he wants. And if you put love, that is called bhakti. Bhakti means love. If you put love in anything you do, even if you do it incorrectly, even if what you did wasn't really good, but you appreciate it because you think she tried to please me. She couldn't, but that's not his fault. That's a limitation of being human. And humans are, humans, they don't really, are not famous to be perfect. We are all imperfect, but you try. And this is what Krishna wants. So anytime you try to do something for Krishna, he's always happy, because this is what he says in Bhagavad-Gita. Of course, to perfect his happiness, you have to learn how to complete your devotional service. Like so many things that you have to do to make sure that your devotional service is really appreciated. But fundamentally, so how do you know? We spoke in the last week about how do you know how to cook. You know that you you cannot eat meat, you cannot cook meat, etc., etc. But there are so many things. So who is going to tell you how to do? That's the guru, and that's the Vaishnavas, the other devotees who train you how to do things. Because if you say, I do it for Krishna, I don't care to know how to do it better, then Krishna says, I don't think you are sincere. Because true, I appreciate anything you do with love and devotion, but part of love and devotion is to make an effort to know how to do it better. You cannot say, I cook for Krishna with love and devotion, I will burn everything down. Everything will be burned, everything will be without salt or too much salt. Krishna doesn't care about the result of what I do. Krishna cares about my love and devotion. But if you have love and devotion, you cook well. This is because this is part of your love, and it's not enough to love. You have to try to do it better. Of course, if you try to do it better and you can't, and then Krishna will appreciate. But if you can do it better and you don't care to do it better, this is not good. This is why we as sadhana, all the disciplines of bhakti yoga, by which you can improve your understanding of philosophy and your spiritual sentiments.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, so last question, and then I think we have time. It's 1 hour and 30. And I will give you the, if there is no question, I will take less than a minute to say something about my books, that I always do. And while I'm talking, some question comes up. Then you can interrupt me, and we can. So first of all, this is my home, ishvara.org. This is where I live. Okay, so this is how I spend most of my time, all my time. And this is where I publish my books. we have arrived at 49 books, between books, video collection, etc., etc. The last books is a Goragano Desha Dipika in Italiano, all right? And then one devotee is now editing the Radha Krishna Ganodesha Dipika that I translated in Italian, and is correcting it. And the books are in 3 languages, English, Italian, and Spanish. And I'm so very happy that people is reading my books and appreciating. They write to me and they say that they like it and appreciate it. So, and now right now I'm working on the Vedanta Sutra, not a book for everybody, but I want to do it anyway. And the Mahabharata complete. The Adi Parva of the Mahabharata is already here. Not all explanations are already here. They will take time to come, but the Adi Parva Mahabharata in English, entire, all of 8,800 and something more verses are already there. Next, we are having this these meetings every Thursday. I hope that it will continue. And on Saturday, we are having it in Spanish. So anyone who speaks Spanish, please come. And I want to conclude, to wrap it up completely. I want to say something to, not to you actually, but to those who are watching this conference in Facebook. Okay, there is some difference between being here and watching on Facebook. The difference is that we look at each other. Sometimes I want to say something that change because I look the expression of the devotees. Sometimes I see the devotees are bored because I am maybe too much. So I cut a little bit and I go somewhere else, talking about something else. Or I see that there is a smile. That means that what I said has been liked. So, so being here is important. It's important so you can make questions live, and also you give me some happiness, because if we are now 7 people, if we are 100, I will be much happier, and I will be able to say maybe something better, because speaking is not mechanical. Speaking about these topics is something that comes from the heart. If my heart is happier, is jollier, then of course maybe I can say something better. So please come. It's free of charge. You don't pay anything to be here in our conference hall. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Next Thursday. Arrivo, all of the Lord's Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank
Maharaj.
you. Merry Krishna. Merry Krishna.
Arrivo.